And he said Dread Knights can't pursue sweeping units because normal Terminators can't as well? Nope. It says a model wearing Dread Knight armor has a 2+ armor save and a 5+ invulnerable save. It's a monstrous creature, and it can deep strike if it wants. Other than that, they show no fear, preferred enemy versus daemons, the Aegis, and Psyker. And he has a couple psychic powers, but there's nothing about being a Terminator. He just has very, very similar, well, exact stats as a Terminator, except that he has also 4 wounds against his monstrous creature. But he does not follow that special rule. He can do sweeping advances, as far as I can tell, and we did it properly. But good question. Serenette. Sorry guys, I have a question. I see Dave measuring the template of their Burnas from the Def Rolla. My question is the Def Rolla part of the hull of the vehicle? According to page 70, they can fire from any point of the hull, and 56 has to ignore decorative elements. I'm confused as regards the Def Rolla. Well, I'll tell Dave to stop doing that. But when I did it, it's what you agree on. So you can, because, okay, technically, no, usually it's not part of the hull. Just like a reinforced ram on the front of a truck gives you like that extra ½ inch there. But it's really, sometimes it's just harder when you're moving models up. You're like, okay, so I got to move it a ½ inch forward because it's just the hull, right? And so it's just like, it's a bit easier with the Def Rolla. But the whole game, I was measuring, the hull was the front of the Def Rolla. Like I measured from the front to the front. Like when I hit something, it was from the front. Like I treated it as that part of the hull. And because Ork vehicles you can model by yourself, and I have like custom made ones that are about the same size, if anything for me, lengthening out the vehicle only shortens the front armor arc. So it actually makes the vehicle a bit weaker if you take everything into account. And so if anything, it hurts me more than helps me, because when I start the game, the front of it is still like the full Def Rolla is still behind the 12 inches. So I don't gain any extra movement. I don't gain any extra inches, because so if I had not treated it as part of the hull, then I would have been far enough from my previous movements. I would have been in the same position, except the Flame Tamer would have touched the hull, and the Def Rolla would have just kind of been, you have to bend it up, bend it down. It just makes it a lot easier to treat it as part of the hull in most games. But if you want to get super technical, technically it shouldn't, but it doesn't matter as long as you're consistent with it being part of the hull or not. And so that's something to discuss with your opponent before the game starts. But good question. Lumpu. Did the Terminators make their pinning tests or the morale check from 25% dying? I think they forgot their pinning test. I really do. But I'm pretty sure they did take the morale check from 25% dying. And then they did take it again and they ran away. I can't remember. I tried watching the video, it wasn't 100% clear. But I'm pretty sure, just my memory of the game, they forgot their pinning test. Or Dan forgot his pinning test. Dan. That guy. I never forget anything. All right. Frederick Kutanen. Kutanen. Love these vids, Dave. I'll be sure to tell him that you love them so much. The Snail Master. Dread Knights are not that scary. Even my Tau beat them in combat once. Way to rub it in. Really, way to rub it in. Sometimes guys, it hurts. Right here. Tank Itty or Tan Kitty? Unfortunately, Land Raiders don't have a rear access point, only on the sides or front, meaning he would have been in range of your flamers. Now there is something called emergency disembarking. But yes, he actually did. It was only his one that wrapped around the side. All of them were in, but only the one was not in range of that hatch. Okay, page 67, disembarking. So as if, Okay, so when the unit disembarks, each model is deployed within 2 inches of a vehicle's access points and within unit coherency. Models cannot disembark within 1 inch of an enemy. So he couldn't deploy, he couldn't come out within 1 inch of my battle wagon. So I eliminated the front arc there. Then, okay, so if any models cannot disembark because of enemies or because they would end up in impassable terrain, the unit can perform an emergency disembarkation. The models are deployed anywhere within 2 inches of the vehicle's hull, but the unit can't do anything else for the rest of the turn. Even if this disembarkation is impossible, they can't disembark. So, because the one guy he was like probably like 1/8 of an inch. Like it almost looked like he was stretching it. It was only the last one that was a stretch, and I just let him have it because I wasn't really too concerned about it. But in the spirit of the rule, he could have fully disembarked without the emergency disembarkation on the other side of the Land Raider, still 1 inch away from me, all within range, and my burners would have been able to hit a lot more. It's true. Except that my burners wouldn't have been able to shoot anyways because it was a ramming attack. So we both did things improperly, but for future I will watch out for that. In that, just a review, can't be within 1 inch of an enemy when you disembark, has to be within an access point. But if because of enemies or impassable terrain you can't do that in coherency, then you're allowed to emergency disembark anywhere around the vehicle and you can get out. So that's that. Good discussion. Good discussion. And Schnellenful liked it, though it would be nice if you could tell us the kill points at the end. Well, I think I lost everything. I think I had 5 to 6 more kill points to start than him. And I ended up with, I think like 4 less than him. So, again, I still don't know. I should have looked that up. But it would have been more like, he would have got like 10 kill points to my like 4. Maybe 5 or 6. Either way, he pretty much slaughtered me. There wasn't too much of a challenge. If it would have been objective, it's a different story because he's so elite. I could have, avoided him and just held it more objectives. However, it was Annihilation. We rolled for it. Makes the game a lot more random, more fun. Thanks for joining me on Rules You Got Wrong, and tune in to further battle reports.